Hey everybody, it's Monday, September 29th, 2025. Welcome to the NFL Fantasy Football Show, where we're not making a scene, just shrugging our shoulders and getting on our way. It's me, your man MG, Marcas Grant, joined by Michael F. Florio and LaQuan Jones. Hopefully you guys aren't crashing out like a certain wide receiver in Philadelphia seems to be. We will get to that.
Yeah,
How
real
we
nasty
feeling?
work.
How are we feeling on this Monday, everybody?
Hey, I'm feeling good. Look, I won. Rams won. We got the dub, right? Bills won. I mean, Marcus.
Yeah, 49ers lost. What's your point?
Duval.
They have the exact same record as the Rams. What's your point?
Hey, not this Thursday. Not this Thursday.
I don't know,
first.
I don't know. It could end up like last night. Could end up like Sunday night where they play to a 40-40 tie.
Boo.
I know everybody was kind of booing it. Honestly, like the way that game went, a tie kind of felt fitting. Like it just felt right.
I mean, Dak and Jordan were balling. Like they were just going back and forth. And like that was actually good to see, you know?
I don't know. I watched 14 and a half hours of football yesterday. I wanted a more climatic, and nothing else in sports happened yesterday besides football. So I wanted a more climatic finish.
Nothing at all. Nothing involving a baseball team from Queens or one from
baseball?
Cincinnati.
Nothing. What's baseball? I don't know what this is.
You turned the page already.
Oh man, rough ending for the New York Metropolitans. But I don't say like that game last night. I felt like it should have ended in time, mostly because the Packers had some sort of brain freeze on that last play where they're just letting the clock run and somehow throwing incompletion with 1 second left. Like, what were they doing?
Jordan Love got bailed out. He did not deserve that. On principle, the league should have stepped in and been like, no, we're taking that 1 second off the clock. Please. 30 seconds. And the announcer's like, are they going to spike it? No. They're going to run a play? No. They're just going to stand there and let the clock run out. Like, it was awful clock management.
Somebody pointed out that the Packers had 1st and 10 on, I think, the Cowboy 25 with like a minute 15 left and barely got a field goal off to tie the game.
It's remarkable when you think about it, right? Like, these are some of the best minds that this sport has to offer, but routinely they get their you-know-what's kicked by a clock. Like, it is crazy.
A big clock that is in the back of the end zone that you can see, or at the top of the stadium. But
literally everybody in the building can see the clock.
Yes. What is happening? Like, is nobody in his ear like, yo, all right, hurry up, the next play.
Ricochets up. They lose.
Yeah. Man,
that's crazy.
Just pulled it out. It does go. I had a friend who once said that every NFL team should employ like a college freshman who does nothing but play Madden and use that person to inform them on like game scenarios and clock management and what have you.
Madden players are ahead of the curve, man.
They tend to be.
They always are.
We got a lot of stuff to dive into here as we wrap up week 4. I know there's still 2 more games left to go. We previewed those last week, so you can go back to YouTube and watch some of our video shows from last week for the Monday night preview. But got a panic meter. Guys that, I don't know what we're doing with them right now. Is it a buy? Is it a sell? Is it a hold? Is it just a give up altogether? We're going to give you some waiver wire stuff, plus some things maybe we wanted a do-over on this weekend. But I want to start with some news, and starting with some unfortunate news. Malik Nabers has torn his ACL. He is going to be out for the remainder of the season. I think that was the fear the moment we saw him go down in that game against the Chargers on Sunday. Immediately was grabbing his knee, and just the look on his face, the reaction when he was put on the cart and taken off the field suggested that he knew the worst probably was coming. So no more Malik Nabers for the remainder of the season. We'll talk about Jackson Dart a little bit later in the show and kind of get into what this means for him. I guess in the short term, though, Florio, what does this mean for Wan'Dale Robinson? And I guess if you had Malik Nabers, are you looking to the Giants to find a replacement, or are you going somewhere else?
This is the worst news that we could have had. And shout out to MetLife. You take another one. I hope it's worth all those concerts you get in the spring because it's yearly. But Wandell, I'm not. I don't know if this like he's gonna get volume, but I still think he is going to be more floor than upside. And even like yesterday, 5 targets, 3 catches, 14 yards. His floor is very low. And we've seen the ceiling be high in that one game against the Cowboys. And I was hopeful that it was going to get more downfield usage for him and stuff. And he kind of reverted back to what he always has been. So I think there's potential there because of the volume he could see and because he's shown us he could win downfield. But I don't think this is like a guy that you're like clearing space to try to force into your lineup or anything like that. And ideally, I want to look outside of the Giants room, but I do think Darius Slayton deserves some love right now. And he's on the waiver list this week. He led the Giants with 44 receiving yards, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it was more than double anyone else on the team. And we saw last season when Malik Nabers missed the 2 games because of concussions, Slayton got a lot more volume and he was being used downfield a lot as well. So I think both Robinson and Slayton should be on rosters after waivers run this week. But again, they're both kind of more like wait and see options, plug in if you need a bye week replacement or an injury replacement. They're far from guys that you're like, you need to get into your lineup.
Yeah, and again, we'll dive more into Jackson Dart, and that's going to obviously impact the wide receivers. The wide receivers will impact Jackson Dart. It's a whole weird symbiosis thing. That's how football works. And I think what you saw from Dart was interesting, but I don't know if he's a guy to kind of lift this offense without Malik Nabers being there. But we can talk about that.
I think I'm in on Jackson Dart. I'm just putting that out there now.
All right. Little teasing for later in the show, so stick around for that. In Baltimore, things are not good for the Baltimore Ravens. They were absolutely hammered by the Chiefs on Sunday. Patrick Mahomes and that Chiefs offense looked like it's getting to be scary again. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, Lamar Jackson ended up leaving that game in the third quarter with a hamstring injury. Now, we will wait during the week to see the severity of it and how it might impact him. But, LaQuan, if we're gaming this out and looking like Lamar can't go, are any of those Ravens pass catchers startable if it ends up being Cooper Rush at quarterback?
I'm a little bit nervous. I'm really nervous for Zay Flowers because, when you look at Lamar Jackson leading the league in yards an attempt, this is where you get the chunk yards from Zay Flowers. And throwing in Cooper Rush, I don't know if we get that same energy. I don't know if we get the same downfield throws. I don't know if Zay's going to be able to eat the way he's been eating these last couple of weeks. I do like Mark Andrews. I mean, obviously, the last 2 weeks, he must have been tapped into the fantasy streets to hear us putting dirt on his name because that boy came in the first 2 weeks with 7 receiving yards. Now, back-to-back weeks, this guy is looking like he is top tier, like he is going to be leading the pack for those Ravens. So I do think that he becomes a security blanket. I do think that he may be available on some waiver wires because some folks jump ship after week 2. So I know that Mark Andrews brings a safe security blanket to Cooper Rush, being that, again, we're not going to get the same type of offense that we're going to get and expect from Lamar Jackson. So I do think I'm a little worried about Zay Flowers because he's been balling this season to where he's averaging 76 receiving yards per game right now. This is a guy that lives and breeze off of chunk yards. I don't know if we get the same explosive plays from him though.
Yeah, this passing game feels like it is really built around Lamar Jackson. That's not really a news flash, but I don't think that Cooper Rush is the guy to come in and suddenly just kind of keep this thing rolling. This isn't like, Carson Wentz stepping in for JJ McCarthy, which is a sentence I didn't think I was going to say this year.
I don't think we should panic just yet. I think we need to hear a report following an update on this.
I'll take a banged up Lamar. I'll take a non-mobile Lamar.
It was a little bit of people were questioning his exit. I'll say that.
Oh, this guy's dipping into the conspiracy theories.
I'm not the one doing it.
That.
But there was a lot of people on Red Zone, on broadcast, on everything, being like, "Is this because of the score or?"
Right.
He wasn't even in the.
I think that was sort of because I think when he first left the game, and I was watching Red Zone when it happened, and Scott Hansen started talking about it. Lamar left the game, and it was a few minutes before we got the report that it was a hamstring issue because all of a sudden. You see Lamar on the sideline. He's looking upset. Cooper Rush is in the game. The Ravens are getting thumped. That was kind of the assumption was just wait, are they just waving the white flag? Are they pulling Lamar? Because especially it was late third quarter, right? The idea of them coming back at that point was difficult, but not impossible. So it was a little bit of a surprise when you see Lamar on the sideline. And then after several minutes, it was Tracy Wolfson on CBS who reported that it was a hamstring issue, and that's why Lamar was on the bench. But yeah, no, I think a lot of people
I'm
were
not
like,
saying
what the hell's happening?
But I'm thinking, like, if it's a close game, it might not be bad enough where he has to miss time. It might be a precautionary, all right, we're down multiple scores. You tweaked a hammy. Let's get you out of here and protect you for the long term.
Sure. And I think that's the hope, right? Is that this is not serious. It was just like, you know what, just better safe than sorry situation. But, you know, we have to do something to have a conversation here. So, you know, I think ideally we get reports on like Wednesday, Thursday saying it's fine, even if Lamar is limited at practice, just if he is practicing.
Lamar versus Rams in 2 weeks.
Hey.
It's going to be interesting. Is that game in Baltimore or at SoFi?
I think it's in Baltimore.
Is it? Okay.
I think we have back-to-back this week of home games.
Okay. But yeah, that should actually be interesting. That should be interesting in a couple of weeks, but obviously a lot of things to talk about before we get to that. So here we are. We're 4 weeks into the season. I know we did a kind of a one last chance thing. We've done bounce back players. Now it's time to just look at guys where, okay, it hasn't happened or things are going south, and our level of panic towards some of these guys. Are you trying to, you know, maybe buy low on them? Are you trying to just move them off your roster? Are you cutting them? Just where are your feelings on a handful of these guys? So Florio, I will start with you with Calvin Ridley. Look, we like Alec Iomanner, but we also know that the ceiling is rather limited on him. I mean, Ridley's supposed to be the guy leading this offense. It has been bad to the point that, how do I say this? Cam Ward has downgraded them from mid to but.
I was wondering how you were going to deliver that.
Cam Ward's basically admitting that this offense is not very good. Calvin Ridley has been a no-show for most of the season. Your level of panic on Calvin Ridley right now?
It couldn't be higher. Like there's no way you could ever start Calvin Ridley right now. I think we're quickly getting to the point where you might not be able to start a single Titan. That is how bad this team is right now. And I'll go as far as say, I think Cam Ward is the best one out there week in and week out for the Titans. Oof. Drops have been an issue. They're giving up pressure and sacks at the second highest rate in the NFL so far. It's been bad, but it got even worse this week for Calvin Ridley because he was 5th in routes ran and 4th amongst wide receivers on his own team in snaps. So you can't score points if you're not out there. And it's like, all right, when it was like him and Alec Iomanner and Iomanner got a couple more targets, it's like, all right, cool. Like that's in the game flow or whatever. But they're using Tyler Lockett over him. They're using like Tony Pollard ran more routes than him this week. Okonkwo ran more routes than him this week. Van Jefferson didn't run more routes, but I believe played more snaps. And like it's just unusable for fantasy right now. Even Tony Pollard, right? Like getting a lot of volume there. It hasn't led to anything good in fantasy because he's getting no room to run. Like I'm at the point right now, and I have Ridley on a number of teams. I've already been benching him for weeks, getting close to dropping him, and I just want no part. Outside of the defense that is facing the Titans that week, I want no part.
There was on Sunday nights, I go back and try to watch games that maybe I didn't get to focus on or didn't get to see a whole lot. And so I watched Commanders Falcons, and I'm like, do I stay up and watch Texans? No. I can't. I'm like, it's late. I'm already tired. Like this just ends with.
That would have put you to sleep.
I was like, I'll end up on the couch, like mouth just open, just sleeping. Like I was like, I don't need that right now. So I waited till I got a good night's sleep, and maybe today I will try to brave Texans Titans.
I saw something that was like CJ Stroud had his best game in like over a year. It was 233 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like,
jeez,
it's not.
The
good.
Texans look awful. They don't look good
outside of one. Woody Marks.
Texans Titans, because the schedule makers said so. The good news is we get that game again later on in the year too. So in case you missed it this time, you can catch it later in the season. Mentioned Baltimore and how things are not going well. The Ravens are 1-3. I don't think anybody had that on their scorecard for this point of the season. It's been a rough go for Derrick Henry. The fumbles have been sort of the low light of it all. You know, we had the temper tantrum on the sideline a couple of weeks ago. Then this week, LaQuan, we just didn't see nearly as much of Derrick Henry. We saw a lot of Justice Hill. Granted, a lot of it came when the game was sort of out of hand at that point. But your level of panic through 4 weeks, I mean, I know it's not Calvin Ridley level of panic, but your level of panic over Derrick Henry from what we've seen the last 2 or 3 weeks.
I would say 5 out of 10. So like I'm right in the middle. Like obviously with Lamar injury, that's going to play a factor in like how high this rises. But I do think that Derrick Henry, he's still getting a rock, man. I mean, look, he's top 3 right now when it comes to yards per carry. He's top 7 when it comes to rushing yards. These are all the things that we want from Derrick Henry, but not seeing him out there on the field when they're needed. But it's Spags defense as well. Like we already know the Chiefs are going to shut down the run. But moving forward, like once we get into the middle of the season, later in the season, we'll look back at this as like that was a rough patch of Derrick Henry. So I'm not panicking just yet. Like the fumbles are concerning in a sense of like, why is this happening? Like I do lose points off of that. And you know I don't like fumbles. We already know Captain Fumble, he pulled one off yesterday, but I'll save him for another show.
I'm going to say that one wasn't on it. Like, the offensive line just let dudes through. I mean,
nope. You do not, and it sucks that it was him. But we'll save that for another segment.
By the way,
but
if you guys,
anyway,
we're talking about Kyron Williams for those of you who don't know.
Hold the ball,
He
man.
who averaged 6 yards per carry.
Hold on. He dropped the ball at the wrong time. Crucial. We've talked about this. It's not about the act of it. It's when it happens, and that could have cost us.
That's purely from a Rams fan. Not a fantasy take.
Anyway, my level of concern for Derrick Henry is not that high. Like, I'm really chilling. Like, I'm looking at him on my rosters. He's staying put as a starter. I'm not thinking about or flirting with the idea of benching him. No, I'm kind of staying cool, calm, and collected. He's still going to be able to run the rock at an efficient and high level once he gets better matchups. I just think that this Chiefs matchup was just a tough one. We know Spags' defense. You do not run the ball against them, and they're going to keep that same energy.
I mean, also, for what it's worth, the Ravens' schedule has been incredibly front-loaded.
Yeah.
They started with the Bills. They go see the Browns, who maybe aren't great offensively, but we know they're very good defensively. Then they followed up with the Lions and the Chiefs. An absolutely just dreadful schedule. And look, next week is the Texans, who I know they can't score, but again, defensively, not a bad team. Then they have the Rams heading into the bye week. So the schedule makers did the Ravens no favors with how they front loaded this thing, without a doubt. So
I think Henry's a great buy low right now. People might be like, he's old, he's not producing, but those 3 of the best run defenses in the NFL. We saw what he could do against weak run defenses in week 1.
Yeah,
right.
Like, especially if I'm rolling out a Travion Henderson right now, and this is no shade, Florio, because I am one of the hype men as well, but like I can buy low on a Derrick Henry and add that to my roster. That'll definitely help my roster when it comes to my running back depth.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt, for sure. So I'm glad I'm asking you this question, Florio, because LaQuan would tear a hamstring taking a victory lap right now. Lad McConkey. I have gotten, social media posts asking me why the Chargers hate Lad McConkey. And I'm like, I don't think they hate Lad McConkey. They just really like Keenan Allen and Quentin Johnston. So at this point, what is your panic level, Florio, on Lad?
It's high. I will take the Lad L, but it's not for the reason any of us thought, right? Like we're seeing 2 wide receivers could thrive in this system. Quentin Johnston is the reason it's not working out. It's like, he is their alpha. He is their one. He leads this team in target share. He leads this team in air yard share. He's heavily utilized in the end zone. Every deep shot seemingly is going his way. So that is the usage that I was thinking was going to go Lad's way. Like, we knew Keenan would get like some of the short catch and run targets. Now it's Keenan and Lad fighting for those. And they even threw some to Quentin Johnston yesterday. I hate the way they're using Lad because they're giving him targets. But I rewatched that game last night and everything is short and quick. And he had a couple of drops. Like, that's on him. That's not going to build you trust with your quarterback. But I do not like the way he's being used at all. They're not giving him anything downfield. In the red zone, it's Keenan and Quentin Johnston. And I was talking with Patrick Claybon about this the other day, defenses are going to have to adjust now, right? Like you're not going to continue to be able to give Quentin Johnson just one-on-one coverage downfield because he's going to continue to cook. So if that happens, that is my hope for Ladd. I look, he's not going to return second round value, but I still do think you can go out and you could acquire him for cheap right now. I think he's going to have much better days ahead. It's been a really rough month. Probably more in that wide receiver 2-3 range, but yeah, it's the usage more than anything right now that's dragging Ladd down.
Well, and then on top of it, the rise of Oronde Gadsden the last couple of weeks. You know, we saw 2 weeks ago he had 7 targets, had 3 targets yesterday. He
did nothing yesterday.
Honestly, Gadsden's not going to be the guy that, like, hey, I mean, you can maybe.
It's an entity that is hurting Ladd.
Right.
That's all it is, because he ran half the routes, ended up with more catches and yards than Ladd McConkey. It's just one of those things, like, it's just
Ladd had
difficult
drops.
to look
like,
at.
That's on Ladd, but, like, he's getting the opportunity.
Right. Like, Gadsden's a guy that at best is a streamer when the matchup is right. But to LaQuan's point, he's another guy to take targets away. But I'm with you that I think Ladd's sort of a buy low just because a lot of people are going to be like, you know, WTF, what's going on? Going to be frustrated. And, you know, maybe they're willing to sort of make an offer at relatively cheap.
The other thing here right now, too, is this Chargers O-line is banged up bad. So that might have to change, and we might start getting a little bit more short, quick stuff, which maybe gets Ladd going.
Yeah, losing Joe Alt. They're saying
Slater
reports are it's
before
not expected to be serious, hopefully. But that's still a big blow to that offensive line for sure. David Njoku, speaking of people who exist to take targets, Harold Fannin is a thing in Cleveland, and David Njoku has not been a thing in Cleveland. I mean, LaQuan Njoku was a guy we were drafting probably in the middle to late rounds. Fannin was not. How panicked are you about the Chief right now?
I'm a little bit panicked because Harold Fannin is playing freaking good. I mean, to be blunt, I mean, like he's playing literally split production with David Njoku, and David Njoku is a well-established tight end 1, and it doesn't also help with Joe Flacco not playing great football right now. But at least with Harold Fannin, like it seems like his targets are more valuable. Like he's getting targeted on 22% in his routes versus David Njoku 16%. So it's like he's going out there and he's part of the design of the offense to move forward, where David Njoku is just out there kind of just lollygagging, running routes, and just like, oh, if I'm open, throw it to me. But he's not even creating the separation. That's the more frustrating part about it. So it's like, it looks like Harold Fannin is going to be a thing for the rest of the season. So David Njoku, to me, drops down to like a low-end tight end 2, to where like each week I'm going to be very, very like cautious of putting him in starting lineups. Like I can even see myself of there may be another wave of tight ends jumping off the waiver wire, and David Njoku might be the one I have to cut just to get more security at the position, because Harold Fannin is not going anywhere, you know, knock on wood, he doesn't get injured, because at the end of the day, he just looks like the better product for the Browns' offense.
There's also chatter about the Browns quarterback situation, right? How much longer does Joe Flacco hold on to that job? Do we see Dylan Gabriel? Do we see Shedeur Sanders?
Or the other guy.
Or the other guy. Kenny Pickett and Jameis Winston should start a support group, right? Just as like, hey man, we're here. We've been in this league. How come nobody is like mentioning us? Like, hey, it's either the old guy or the young guys, and we're just sort of stuck in between.
I would rather see Kenny Pickett go out there though than Joe Flacco right now. I mean, let's swap the jersey, folks, the hometown heroes. Let's put in Kenny Pickett and get connected with David Njoku. I wouldn't mind seeing that.
All right. I mean, that was sort of my question. Like, if Flacco leaves, is that good or bad for Njoku? So
it's probably good. It's probably good.
Hard to think it gets worse.
I think they turn to the kids, and who knows, right?
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, Ian was reported over the weekend, like, teams are calling the Giants about Russ. I'm like, you're calling about the wrong quarterback.
Right.
Man.
Like, why are you calling about Russ? call about
Really?
Jameis.
Oh my God. Free Jameis, man.
Free Jameis.
Bengals,
Yeah,
get on the phone.
Yeah. Jameis throwing YOLO balls to Jamar Chase. Like, I'm here for this.
He'd
I'm
get
all the
2,000
way
yards
for it.
in half a season.
Right.
Comeback player of the year. Let's
There it
go.
is. One last one. AJ Brown. Started the show. I'm not going to make a scene. I'm just going to shrug my shoulders and be on my way, was the cryptic social media post from one Arthur Juan Brown after the Eagles game on Sunday. And so far, aside from the one game and really one half, if you will, against the Rams, A.J. Brown has really been a non-factor in the offense on Sunday. 9 targets, 2 catches, 7 yards. I mean, LaQuan, do you want to start? How panicked are we about A.J. Brown right now?
I'm on the halfway mark, but I actually had a friend of mine in my league, a really good friend of mine from back home, actually texted me last night like, hey, you giving up on A.J. Brown? And I was like, maybe, because he's crashing out on the internet right now. I don't know what can happen next. But my buddy seems to be, thinking that I don't pay attention to the fantasy streets or no value as a players, because he was like, oh, I'm willing to pay high for him, man. I'm going to give you all you want, man. And as you can see, I sent you guys the trade. It was Tony Pollard and Xavier Leggett for A.J. Brown and Brandon Ayuk. Folks, am I tripping? Like, should I just, cut ties with him, block him to never, ever let him text me again about a trade like this? Like, I'm not panicking that deep,
There are, we all have friends that hey, we get along in so many areas, but there's just 1 or 2 things that we just can't talk about. And it appears that you cannot talk fantasy football trades with this friend. Y'all can talk about, I guess, whatever else, just not that.
Yeah, I wanted to block him as soon as I seen that trade come through. I didn't even counter because I was like, you're not going to be serious with this. Like, it's disgusting. Like, no, absolutely not.
I don't think I would accept those 2 guys for just Ayuk alone.
Look, Xavier Leggett is a friend of the show, but he's rostered in less than 20% of leagues. He's a waiver wire ad right now. Why would you add him in the package and thinking like, oh, yeah, this is sweetening the deal, man? Yeah.
It's also been a rough start for Leggett this year. So, yeah, that's rough. Where are you on the panic meter, Florio, with A.J. Brown?
I'm getting a little worried. I went back and watched all 9 of his targets from this week. One of his catches was a screen that got blown up. The other was for 9 yards. And then everything else, so it's twofold. For one, A.J. Brown, it's not like he's blowing past his defenders. A lot of his targets, the guy is right on top of him. So that's not ideal, because remember, before the season, he had a hamstring. But also, on those deep targets, they're absolutely non-competitive throws. They're sailing out of bounds. A.J. Brown is huffing and puffing before the ball even gets there. One, he tried to Odell catch it, because they're just non-competitive throws. I understand why he is angry. But at the same time, he had a 38% target share and 73% of the Eagles' air yards yesterday. They were trying to get you the ball. You and Hurts got to get back on the same page. I don't know what has to happen for that to happen, but I'll say this. If A.J. Brown is crashing out, what do you think Devonta Smith is feeling today? Because he's not even getting opportunities. So, at least with A.J. Brown, they're trying to get him the ball. And next week, they get Denver. I think it's a good chance to try to buy low if you believe on A.J. Brown, because 3 of the 4 weeks have been bad. Hard matchup next week. I have a feeling people are going to tell you to sit him. I'm going to tell you to start him. But squeaky wheel games are a real thing in the NFL. And I think the Eagles know, because, look, they're 4-0. And I know, Kyle Brandt on Good Morning Football today was saying, I don't care about how it looks when you win. Is that so? You have nothing going through the passing game. Saquon hasn't looked like Saquon. The Eagles' offense is broken right now, and there's far too much talent for us to have to sit here and say that. So
wait, I was saying they were overrated last week, and you guys are saying, "Oh, you're saying that because you're a Rams fan."
Good team.
No, they're not, and I'm going to stand on that. They are not a good football team.
One of the 2 undefeated teams.
They're
Not
4-0, man.
Nah, I don't
the
care.
defending champions.
They beat the Rams, the Chiefs, and the Bucks. Probably 3 division winners.
Right.
The Bucks was a spanking. I did not expect it to go that way, but Mike Evans was hurt.
The Eagles remind me a lot of the Chiefs from last year, right? Where their defense is carrying them. But the difference is the Chiefs last year were missing everyone on offense. The Eagles guys are all out there. So I'm hopeful that it turns around, but it's not an easy fix. I can't sit here and be like, all I need to do is do this. I have no idea what it is, but they need to get back on the same page and quick.
Well, I mean, the fact is they want to be kind of a short yardage offense, right? I mean, I joked about building the whole plane out of the tush push, but they know that in short yardage situations, they have a play that is damn near unstoppable. And so
they even faked it.
Exactly. So now they've actually started building different options off of it, right? I mean, whether it's a little shovel pass to Dallas Goedert, it's a pitch to Saquon, they have different options of what to do off of the tush push. But basically the whole philosophy is let's try to get like 7 yards on first down, right? And then, if we can get it to 2nd and 1 or 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, what's coming. And so like it's not exciting, but it's also not an offense that is conducive to getting AJ Brown downfield or Devonta Smith downfield. And so I am a little bit panicked about this because I think we're going to see a lot more games where it is just a handful of targets. And unless Brown or Smith catches a lot of them, maybe breaks a couple of tackles and gets yards after the catch, there just aren't going to be a lot of chunk plays in this passing game. So maybe next week it is a squeaky wheel game a little bit, but I think the frustration is going to be there. I'm also going to tell you, though, if there's a chance to sort of buy low, if there's somebody that's frustrated or is panicked, I say make the move because,
Not Tony Pollard and Xavier Leggett
Not for that, though. That's not going to get it done.
The one thing about the Eagles, and we could say, like, yeah, it's working. The Bucs had the ball with a chance to take the lead late in the fourth quarter yesterday. Like, they had zero passing. Like, it's a recipe that's working now, but is it going to work all year? Like, I have big questions.
It might.
I'll say this. I think for most people, who talk about the Eagles and complain about the Eagles, it's not that it's not effective. Everybody gets that it's effective. I think for a lot of us, we watch football to be entertained, and this offense is not entertaining.
Also, like, they should have lost last week. If they don't block that field goal, they lose. So, like,
thanks for bringing it back up, buddy.
Just juggernauting their way to 4-0.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
Well, AJ Brown's on the crash out. A lot of fantasy managers probably crashing out with him. So this is time maybe to take advantage to see if you can snag him in a trade. Quick deal with the rookie report. Few names of interest here. Jackson Dart, 111 pass yards and a touchdown, 54 rushing yards and a touchdown, nearly 20 fantasy points. Florio, you say you are all in on Jackson Dart, huh?
If he's out there and your waivers, add him. It might not always be pretty, but he can run. Not only did he put up 20 fantasy points, he had a 40-yard run called back due to penalties as well. He's running in the red zone a lot. They didn't really ask him to air the ball out much yesterday because they had a lead throughout. When is that going to be the case with the Giants? So I think like his rushing numbers are going to make him a fantasy relevant option. And if he has to start airing it out, we know he's got that arm. Obviously, we wish Malik Nabers was there, but even without him, I don't think he's a must start every single week, but I think he has enough upside where if you don't have like a Josh Allen or a Lamar, if you've been streaming quarterbacks or whatever the case may be, he brings enough upside that I think you want him.
Yeah, it's that rushing part of it too, I think, especially because I think the passing ceiling is going to have a cap on it, but if he's running, could be sort of Drake May all over again, like from last year, I think a little bit. The guy on the other side in that game against the Chargers, Omarion Hampton, his first chance as the true RB1 in LA, 128 rushing yards and a touchdown, a long touchdown run, 5 catches for 37 yards, 27 and a half fantasy points. Early in this game, though, I know I texted you guys, like, please convince me that Omarion Hampton is good, because every time I looked up, he'd get the ball. He was just running into the line. He was getting 2 yards a pop. And I'm like, this looks awful. Then all of a sudden he popped a couple of big ones. And I was like, okay, I'll shut up now. LaQuan, is he a must start at this point?
Absolutely. I mean, I liked everything I saw. I mean, the first half was a little concerning in his touches because it wasn't much. It wasn't anything there. So I think that's when that text you sent. And then halftime, he must have saw you tweeting or something or put it on Blue Sky. You must have said it outside the group chat. So where he turned up. And I like everything I've seen from him since the little sprinkle that we saw him in week 1 and 2. And obviously when Najee goes down, he is now the front man. He is an RB1 for me in a lot of rosters where it's like, I don't need the question ever again if I'm going to start him, because obviously the identity of this offense is going to be running through the 3 wide receivers and a sprinkle of Omarion Hampton as well as a pass catcher, because I do appreciate some of the targets that he's seeing. And I said it, before preseason started, I was like, this guy, I pro-comped him to Brock Lesnar. He is a freak athlete. Like, that is exactly what you're seeing on the field. He's jumping over guys, going through guys, and juking guys. He's leaving folks just like, I can't stop this guy. Like 90 yards after contact yesterday. Like, that's insane that he is going to do this as a rookie and only ascend higher as we get, the years come on.
I love that your pro comp for him was Brock Lesnar.
Yes, freaking Brock Lesnar. Like Brock Lesnar can do a
NFL
shooting star
prospect?
press. But, hey, yes, he acknowledges that. He acknowledges that. Failed 2 teams, Vikings and Falcons, I believe. But man, yeah, he's one of those athletes that like he's big for his size, but he's able to be elusive. He's able to go over you, through you, or whatever the case may be. So I do think that for now on, we don't need to question his title. He is a RB1.
All right, cool. Travion Henderson got his first career NFL touchdown on Sunday, 32 rushing yards, 2 catches for 17 yards, a sort of meh 12.6 fantasy points for the day. Florio, we were all sort of hoping that after Stevenson and Gibson had fumble problems last week, we'd see more Travion Henderson. That wasn't really the case. If you've got him, buy, sell, hold. I mean, how are you approaching him at this point?
I'm definitely not selling because I think like you're selling at I wouldn't say it's the low point because that was probably like 2 weeks ago, but you're still leaving a lot of value on the table. Like, in fact, I'm going to try to buy him in a couple of leagues this week. I'm not being a homer. They play the Bills this week. The Bills cannot stop the run to save their life. Like Alvin Kamara and Spencer Rattler was running all over them this week. And specifically for years now, speed is what kills this Bills defense. And he is their fastest runner. So I have both Stevenson and Henderson. I'm going to write them up as starts this week for start 'em, sit 'em because of the matchup. And I also think it was encouraging that we are starting to, we haven't fully seen Antonio Gibson go away, but we saw less Antonio Gibson this week and we saw more Travion Henderson. And that is my hope moving forward. It's been very frustrating. I'm not going to deny that. Yesterday, I was sending texts to you guys joking that like I want to have a word with the Patriots coaches because I don't understand why they took him in the second round to play 2 other running backs over him. But I think that's starting to change. And I still think there's a chance he's not going to live up to his draft day costs. But I still think there is a chance that he takes over this backfield at some point and becomes an every week start and potentially still a league winner. Like that is still in the range of outcomes. So I want Henderson on my rosters rather than trying to sell him. What are you going to get? Right? Like I'm in one league. Yeah. My friend, and it's a super flex, but even before the week started, he was like, you have Jackson Dart? I want him. I was like, give me Travion. Like, and though I'm going to try to get him on teams where I maybe don't have to start him right away because that it doesn't matter what you paid on draft day. It matters what you get him for now and what you could use him for now. And I still think there's a lot of upside.
Yeah, I'm still thinking he's potentially a buy low candidate because I think a lot of people are going to be frustrated, but I'm with you. Like they're not going to just keep running out Antonio Gibson all year long.
They might.
They might, but I'm assuming they want to win. So I would think
I was expecting Florio to crash out because this would have been a valid crash out because it was just like you watch both those running backs last week fumbled the ball. One of them did it twice, and you are still rolling both of them out over Travion Henderson. Yeah, I was ready to take the TV off the wall. I was. It was about to be some furniture because I started him again this week when I said I wasn't going to, and I lost this week. So
his best week as a pro.
Yeah. It's not all bad.
Wanted, but
it's not all bad for rookie running backs though. Joquavius Woody Marks seems to be getting some more opportunity down there.
My man got Houston. The government on tab.
Oh man. Well, I mean, look, also a USC guy, Joquavius Marks. 69 rushing yards and a touchdown, 4 catches. I don't need you doing a viper at me right now. 4 catches, 50 yards and a touchdown, nearly 28 fantasy points. LaQuan, is he Houston's new RB1?
Sure looks like it because we just got reports that there's still no timetable for Joe Mixon to come back. So it looks like they are starting to use Woody Marks like Joe Mixon. So they gave him 17 carries. They weren't like great on the ground, but I appreciate the target share. And that's exactly what we want from Woody Marks because that's everything that he brings to the table. I think he did make Nick Chubb look invisible. 2 weeks ago, I was saying if Woody Marks is not able to make Nick Chubb look invisible in this offense that wants to run the ball and also have the running back be a pass catcher like Joe Mixon, here we are. We're at this point now where Nick Chubb is starting to look like he's taking the back seat in the touches. He's not that explosive. He can't really add to the passing game either. So it's like Woody Marks is in the front seat right now as the RB1. So if he's on waiver wires, I'm picking him up. I'm cutting weight. I'm cutting guys that, I have to make some hard decisions with. I do feel like Calvin Ridley's on that list. Stephon Diggs, until yesterday, was on that list, but seems like they're using him more downfield. Thank God they're starting to listen. But more so looking at Woody Marks, man, the 119 scrimmage yards, if we can keep that energy going for the rest of the season to where he's going to be a dominant person in the passing game as well, because that O-line just got worse. They just traded away Cam Robinson. Like, I don't know why they're deleting folks off of that O-line and not adding, but I do think that he's going to be like one of those guys that's going to be utilized in the screen game.
Yeah, I mean, look, catching the football was a big thing for him during his college career at a couple of different stops. It seems like they are utilizing that right now. And to your point about Joe Mixon, D'Amico Ryan saying that Mixon is not close, even conceding there's a chance Joe Mixon does not play at all this year. So a big opportunity for Woody Marks there. Yeah. You know, it's funny because I heard some of those rumblings during the preseason, but none of them seem to be coming from verified sources or from, anybody, outwardly associated with the team. But now that D'Amico Ryans is even suggesting that Mixon could miss the year, I've got at least one roster where I have him just stashed on IR.
Same.
Hearing news like that makes me think that maybe it might be time to just, for this year at least, say goodbye, and then we'll figure it out for 2026. Time to dive into the week 5 waiver wire, since we're coming up on week 5. Florio, who have you put together on the list this week?
Jackson Dart, we already spoke about him. I think he is the biggest add at quarterback. Sam Darnold looking more and more comfortable there with Seattle. And Matthew Stafford, I don't love his matchup this week, but he was the QB1 in
you
week
better
4.
love it.
We just spoke about Woody Marks. I think if he is available, empty the fab. Like, he is the biggest pickup of the week. Emery DeMercado played a lot. He was basically the new Trey Benson there. Kenneth Gainwell, they're on bye this week, but who knows? I mean, he could be the guy again in week 6. Emmanuel Wilson, just because Josh Jacobs got banged up yesterday. Tyler Algier does not go away. Like, Bijan is the number 1 running back in fantasy, but Algier is still hanging on strong. Tajay Spears, just because Tony Pollard has been super ineffective. Xavier Scott, wide receiver turned running back, now is the pass-catching specialist in that Aaron Jones role for the Vikings. Chris Rodriguez played over Bill once again. Kendre Miller, more utilized than I expected. And then Brashard Smith, just because it's really ineffective right now in Kansas City in that backfield. And then at receiver, shout out to you, Marcus. You were on this one. Romeo Doubs went off against the Cowboys.
Bonkers.
Then the Giants receivers, if they're available, in Wandell and Slayton. Isaiah Bond, low key, is playing now that Cedric Tillman role. So I think that is a sneaky ad. And then Juju had 4 red zone targets this past week, which is crazy. Hunter Henry, Dallas Goedert, and Brenton Strange. I know Hunter Henry and Dallas Goedert have been rostered since July in all of your leagues, but they're still out there in a number of leagues, and they should not be.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's somebody out there that, will probably find Hunter Henry on the waiver wire, in which case, go get it. Some of the names I'm looking at here, what was one that, Tyler Algier, you are correct. Like, I was watching that game last night, and I'm like, there's a lot of Tyler Algier. And Bijan still is able to eat, so, I'm not worried about Bijan's opportunity, but man, they will not give up on Tyler Algier. And to their credit, look, he was productive. He ran the ball well, for sure. I saw Chris Rodriguez had a big run. I don't want any part of that backfield. It's just a mess.
No.
I don't want any part of that. Romeo Doubs, I'm glad it hit yesterday. I'm going to tell you that you can't rely on that, because next week could be Matthew Golden. Or I guess 2 weeks. They're on a bye. So 2 weeks could be Matthew Golden.
Deontay Van Wicks.
Right.
It could be any of them.
Even
Dobbs is the only one that's consistently on the field. So I was like, I'll give him a little love.
He's a flex. He's a solid flex.
He is a solid flex. But was it 3 touchdowns? I wouldn't go.
Yeah, that's going to be his best game of the year.
Yeah. Maybe it's his career.
Maybe of his life. Yeah, exactly. So before we get out of here, look, we make mistakes too with our lineups. We do things that we wish we could take back or fix or do over. So, LaQuan, what would you like a do-over on from this past week?
So a lot of folks like me who sat George Pickens for obvious reasons, because Dak has been with CD, and I couldn't imagine him being, superstar Dak Prescott as he was last night, especially with George Pickens stepping up, looking like actual wide receiver 1 production. So I started Keenan Allen, and I think that's not a bad do-over. Like that's not a bad decision because obviously looking at Justin Herbert playing in this different bag, he clipped the entire division, and then you go see the Giants who are god awful, and then the product that we get, it's just like Keenan Allen didn't cut it. He just put up less than 10 fantasy points. I think George Pickens, man, obviously is going to be a strong consideration as long as CeeDee Lamb is out as a starter. It's going to be hard to bench him just based off of this performance against a tough Packers defense who didn't look tough, last night. But I still think that the Packers defense have a solid defense, moving forward.
Yeah, I think a lot of things happened last night. One, the Cowboys were not trying to get shown up at home. They spent the whole week hearing about Micah Parsons coming back. I think there was a little bit of extra about that there. Plus, just sort of one of those nights for sure.
Yeah, Jerry on the broadcast before the game. That game meant a lot to Dallas.
It absolutely meant a lot to Dallas, for sure. Florio, who is your do-over for the week?
It was on my most important team, which is Nicolette's. All week long, we had, because she has Josh Allen, we had the stack with Khalil Shakir, and then I was doing some research over the weekend and stuff, and I was like, man, the Saints get cooked by out-wide wide receivers. They've actually been pretty tough against the slot. We're going to go ahead and flip Keon Coleman in for Khalil Shakir, and then I do the Sunday show at work. Before I even got to my car, Khalil Shakir had a 40-yard touchdown. And so that it turned her situation. She would have been up 10 with Justin Fields versus Cortland Sutton. Now tonight she's down 10. She is Justin Fields versus Cortland Sutton. She still has a chance to win. She's actually the favorite. Yeah. But it would have been locked up had I not, at least close Florio. To locked up, had I not made that.
My boy on the couch for the rest of the week if she loses, bro. Get that couch.
Could be worse. You could have had your wife take the Chargers in a survivor pool and watch them just crumble on Sunday. So that part.
So you got room on the couch, or
you got your most comfortable pillow?
We got a loft up here if you need somewhere to crash. Come hang out. So I was victimized by the early start on Sunday in that I wake up just in time for kickoff, only to find out that Jaylen Warren isn't inactive and he is in one of my lineups. So I missed that. And then in another league, I decided that I was going to, I didn't know that Kenneth Gainwell was going to get a huge role because I thought Jaylen Warren was going to play. So I stuck with Zach Charbonnet on Thursday when Kenneth Gainwell was sitting on my bench, scoring multiple touchdowns.
Oh, man.
His career game.
His career.
Yeah, seriously. The best game of his life ever.
Yeah. And it happened on my bench. So that's cool.
At 6:30 a.m. Pacific.
At 6:30 a.m. Pacific time. Because I rolled out of bed literally just in time to kind of turn on the start of the game. Probably missed kickoff or whatever. But I had no idea that Jaylen Warren was inactive.
Makes you feel any better at all, I think this is a universal problem. In 3 or 4 of my leagues, the person who has Jaylen Warren started him because there was no even rumor that he might not play.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was the thing. I went back. I was like, did I miss something? I was retweeting a bunch of injury updates. I'm like, did I retweet it and miss it? I was like, no, it just showed up out of nowhere. And it just happened. Which I guess is sort of a way to remind people too, by the way, there's another international game coming up this week. It's the Vikings and the Browns in London. So another 6:30 a.m. start Pacific time, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. We'll talk about it again later in the week, but just a reminder in case you have somebody going in that game.
The league did the Browns so dirty. They're like, the Vikings are already in Europe, but you're going to be the home team.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
That's insane. Why did they do that?
I'm assuming the Vikings are going to stay over in Europe. Yeah. And then just take the
it's short trip from Dublin train ride, right?
Right. You should go from Dublin to London.
I've never been to Dublin. I've been to London.
Yeah. But it's not a long trip at all. You got to take at least a boat because Ireland is an island. And England is a separate.
Start Quinshawn Junkins.
So,
watch, he'll get ruled out next week, and Dylan Sampson will go for 4 TDs.
Stop! Don't
that's
say
geography watch, by the way, here on the NFL Fantasy Football Podcast, letting you know that Ireland and England are 2 separate land masses that are separated by a
I want to go to both. They've never been.
We have international games for the next month plus.
Yes, for a while.
Pretty soon we'll have one for every week.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, we'll remind you, of course, later in the week to make sure you get your lineup set on Saturday, which will not matter at all when somebody's a surprise scratch on Sunday morning when most of the West Coast is still asleep. But anyway, that'll do it for this edition of the NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. Stay happy, safe, and healthy. Do good and live well. Enjoy the week, everybody. We will talk to you again on Wednesday.